Welcome back to another episode of Satisfactory, and on this episode, it's time to continue with making some more progress on our Tier 7 and Tier 8 milestones. And as you can see in the last episode that we did upgrade our factory to Mark V manufacturing, which unlocked a whole pile more materials for us to be able to work with. And then, of course, we also created some centralized storage here as well, too, so it's easier for us to be able to get access to everything that we need. So sit back, relax, and let's jump into it. All right, the first thing that we need to be focusing on in this episode is we need to be building the radio control units. Like, we only have one more milestone here in Tier 7, and that's Aeronautical Engineering. That's going to get us the drone ports and the drones, as well as the assembly director system, which I believe is one of the components that is required for Phase 4 of the space elevator. And this gives us the ability to start making the supercomputers as well, too. So this is what we've got to focus on doing. The only thing that we need to make here is the radio control units. So let's go find a spot out here that'll work for making radio control units. Alright, so I've placed down a manufacturer over here where we're making like our computers and our modular engines, computers and adaptive control units. And then, of course, our high-speed connectors and that's the high-speed connector. And what's the other thing we're making over here? That's both high-speed connectors. And this assembly here, AI limiters. And then, of course, we have our circuit boards and stuff like that being made over here as well, too. But I have placed down a manufacturer right here. This is going to handle making our radio control units. What does it require? It requires aluminum casing at 40 per minute, as well as 1.25 per minute of crystal oscillators, and also 1.25 of computers. Well, we are making 5 computers per minute off of these two manufacturers that we have set up here, of which one of them is being consumed by making our adaptive control units, which leaves us 4. And so we're going to use another 1.25 over here, and that will leave us 2 3/4 per minute computers for, I believe that's for the supercomputers that we're going to need that for. So let's get some logistics moving those items into this manufacturer so we can get the radio control unit. After a little bit of logistics, we have the machine all fired up. So our manufacturer was pulling in computers, crystal oscillators, and then we have aluminum casing kind of coming from the skywalk over there. And they are all dumping into here to make our radio control units. So as soon as we have 50 of these things, which we should be pretty close to that, if not just over right now, we can turn in our next milestones. So let's grab those. And this will actually complete our Tier 7 milestones. So let's head over here. We're going to Aeronautical Engineering. We're selecting this milestone. And we are throwing in our radio control units. We're throwing in some alclad aluminum sheeting, some aluminum casing, and a whole pile of motors, 300 of them. And launch away. Aeronautical Engineering is now complete. And we have just finished our Tier 7 milestones. So what's next on our to-do list here? Tier 8. This is what we've got to be focusing on. And I have Ada muted so we don't have to listen to her right now. So the next thing that we really need to focus on, we can unlock, what's this next one? Advanced aluminum production. So this one here, we just need aluminum casing. We need 50 more of the radio control units. So let's just wait for these ones to fill up, and then we can work on making some supercomputers. So we'll get another one of these milestones completed. We have gathered up more of the radio control units, and our pod has returned from the last milestone. Let's head into Tier 8. We've got our advanced aluminum production set up here, and it's requiring 50 of the radio control units, 100 of the aluminum casings, and then 200 alclad aluminum, and then 3,000 copper wire, and launch away that is another milestone completed. So that gets us our advanced aluminum production, which gives us resource well pressurizer, resource well extractor, scanner updates for water wells, crude oil, nitrogen. We're going to be needing nitrogen to be able to break into starting to do making heat sinks and cooling systems and fuse modular frames. So this is kind of important as we start breaking into our nuclear production and stuff that we're going to be working on. So of which that's the next milestone we need to do. But to do that, we need to be making supercomputers, and we're not making any supercomputers yet. So we've got to figure out our production to be able to get that done. And that's also going to be needed for doing the milestone leading edge production, of which we're also going to have to do fused modular frames. And yeah, that's then the last round ends up needing, we're going to need a whole pile of things to be able to pull that off. So let's focus now on getting a supercomputer production line up and running. And it looks like we're going to need computers, we're going to need AI limiters, we're going to need circuit boards, and a bunch of plastic to pull that off. So what I realized as we were getting ready for having our supercomputer manufacturing line all set up was that I was short on plastic and rubber manufacturing. So I found 2 pure oil nodes out here that we've thrown some oil extractors on, and also overclocked them to 300%, giving us 600, a total actually of 1200 per minute of oil, all running down into, we've got 40 refineries here set up making our plastic and rubber. So we're doing plastic on one side, rubber on the other side, and then all of the heavy oil residue we're gathering from that, running it through these 10 refineries that's making all of our fuel production. So then the fuel runs through here. We've got a little bit of a fluid buffer set up in here. And then we have 14 300% overclocked fuel generators over here that are consuming that fuel and generating some more electricity for us, or more power for us. And as you can see now, we're actually doing quite well. We're at 22.2 gigawatts of power, and our total consumption is just over 17. So we've got a little bit of a buffer now for some more of our manufacturing that we're going to put in place here to get ready for nuclear power, which is really, really, really close to happening. So now with the additional plastic and rubber that we've got flying out of here, we are totally set now for getting everything that we need for the supercomputers to get them built. So just following this line back to our other plastic and rubber manufacturing that we've got set up over here, I have these lines all merging together so that it's basically 1 feet of plastic and 1 feet of rubber, and then it's dumped into awesome sinks. I've got some redundant awesome sinks set up, but we got a little bit of a lag spike there as we do an autosave. I've got some redundant awesome sinks set up to make sure that none of these lines end up backing up at all. But as you can see here, right now we are fully stocked in plastic and rubber because I haven't finished building the manufacturing for our supercomputer yet. So, but we have everything we need now to be able to advance that, because plastic, I did notice actually, I think it was on, it might have been on the computer line here. I was actually about 20 plastic short from having this running as efficient as it could be. So that's taken care of now. That's all fixed up. And then, of course, that plastic does need to come down to our supercomputer line, which is going to be these ones right here. So we need computers, we need AI limiters, high-speed connectors, and, of course, 52.5 plastic, which we've got plenty of plastic now. I'm not worried about that at all. So let's get some logistics into here to be able to get the supercomputer all completed. All right, so I did run some logistics over here. We have our computers coming down in and drop into this port. We have the high-speed connectors. You're just feeding directly over from the manufacturing line for the high-speed connectors, and they're over here. The AI limiters, we have them dropping down. There's just running a conveyor feed along here. It drops down, and then it picks up and feeds in right here. And then we're pulling our plastic in directly from our plastic feed that is being used in some of the other manufacturing lines. We just continued that down here to be able to get this up and running. It's making supercomputers. The downside is this requires 3.75 computers per minute. Okay? This requires 1.25 computers per minute. That's 5 computers per minute. This requires another 1 computer per minute. So what does that mean? We're not making enough here. We're only making 5 computers per minute. So all I can hope is that I have enough screws coming over here, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop a overclock into this. Actually, we only need 1 extra, right? 1 extra computer per minute. So at 100%, what we're making 2 points. So we need to make 3.5. 3.5 computers per minute is sitting at, and actually we could just type this in here. Go 3.5, hit enter, 140% clock speed. We are now making exactly what is required, which is 6 computers per minute for all of these manufacturing lines. I don't ever like to do exactly. I like to just a tiny bit over. So we are going to push this right up to 3.75. So now we're making just a little bit over what our computer requirements are. And that's basically just to make sure that we can restock our computer bin over here when we do come and take some out of here. So the only thing then is, okay, we're up to 67.5 plastic per minute. And what's this one? This is 45. I still think we're okay because I did add a whole new plastic line. So I think we have enough plastic. That's not an issue. What are we up to here for the screws? We're up to 195 screws per minute here. And 130 screws per minute here. So that's a total of 325 screws per minute. I don't know if I had 325 screws per minute coming over here. So we're going to have to kind of follow this line back and figure, okay, where were we feeding these screws from? So they were coming off of overflow on this line here. And as you can see, like all the screws just took right off. But another big batch of them's going, so I'm not too concerned yet. So what did I say? That's 325 screws per minute. We need to leave this. So how much are we using here? In this manufacturing line. Wait, are we even using them? I'm not even feeding it here? Oh, that's not good. Well, it's a good thing we fixed that. Okay. So this is using 200. This is using 200. So that's now taking us up to 725 screws per minute. Okay. Okay, so that's a lot of screws. That's a lot of screws flying into this machine, which I'm actually going to just... I think I have some in my inventory. I'm just going to dump them in here so that we can make sure that this line's backing up and sending screws out this way. So how many screws did I have coming down from this line that's dumping down here? So now we got to trace that back. We need 725. So that's this screw line here, which is a combination of a merger from whatever's left over on this line, whatever's left over on that line, plus whatever's being fed in from this line. So this was our 300 screws per minute coming in here. So we know we have a minimum of 300 screws per minute going into this line. Guaranteed right now. Okay, so let's trace back this line and see how much excess we're getting off of. This is our heavy modular, our reinforced plate manufacturing line here. So we are taking 2 full feeds from here. We got 1,560 screws that are coming down to here. How many screws are we using on this line? So we've got 1,250. And what did I say we had coming down here? 1,560, 1,250. So that leaves us 310 to combine with our other 310, which takes us up to 600, or it's up to our other 300. So we got 310 screws per minute plus 300 screws per minute. We're up to 610. So then how much extra do we have coming off of this line here? So how many are we using on these? We have 100 screws times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 600 screws there. That's a 780 line. That's another 180 excess combined with our 610, which is 790. We are good. We have 780 screws per minute come down here, and we only needed 725. That was some math that we had to wrap our head around. So we know that we have enough screws coming off of this production line that should keep this system using all of its screws. Where do all these screws go? Oh no, we're using screws over here as well too. Uh-oh, Raggy. Yeah, these screws come along here. Oh no, yeah, wait, this is our production lines that we're using it with. Never mind. Never mind, I was confused. So that is just our production line here. So us overclocking this one manufacturer gets us the amount of computers that we need. My fear was I'm gonna have to tear all this out, rebuild it, and add another manufacturer in here. But no, let's just use some power shards and get it to where we need it to be. And then we're good. We're golden. We're making all the computers that we need. And while it's a slow process getting our supercomputers, let's get this stacked up and let's turn in some milestones. Alright, we have gathered up some supercomputers, and now it's time to grab another milestone here. Nuclear power, but first, we've got our supercomputers, but we don't have enough of the heavy modular frames or the copper cabling. Well, look, isn't it nice that we've got all of this handy right here? So let's restock up on our heavy modular frames. Just going to grab a whole stack full. And we'll grab a bunch of the copper cabling as well too. Like I did mention in the last episode, I have added a few mods, one of them being the flying mod, just to be able to move around a little bit easier. And then, of course, the plus 300 slots for the inventory, because I was sick and tired of running back and forth to, various storage containers, trying to keep up with everything. And then I can craft hard drives because I did not want to go around looking for them, and I can also craft the power shards. But I did actually do a quick search around for slugs last time, because it takes a long time to craft them, because it's like, what is it, 50 rotors and 50... Let me have a look here. It's like 50 rotors and 50 cable, I think. Crafting a power shard. 50 rotors and 50 of the copper sheeting to make one. And so, that takes a while to get through. So I did do a loop around and gathered up a whole bunch of slugs. But of course, with the flying mod, it makes it a lot easier for sure. So if you haven't considered doing mods before, I kind of recommend it. At least those 4 little handful ones. They're just quality of life, things that make the game just that much more enjoyable when you're not having to constantly run back and forth. Now, I haven't gone full creative. I am still making sure I'm getting all of my materials from what I've built in the factory. I don't know if I would ever want to go the creative route, because the whole idea of this game is building the things that you need to be able to make the game progress. So the whole creative aspect, it's not like creative Minecraft where, I mean, you just don't feel like digging for 9,000 hours because you don't have enough blocks. This stuff at least makes the stuff for you in the background, and then you can gather it as you need it type thing. So anyhow, let's turn in a milestone here. We're going to nuclear power, select the milestone, and let's load in our supercomputers first. Then we'll go with our heavy modular frames, of which it's a good thing we grabbed what we did. And then cabling, we need a lot of cabling. It's 1,000 cables for that. And then 2,000 concrete. Wow, that's a lot of concrete for that. Launch away. Nuclear power is now unlocked. That means that we can start thinking about building a nuclear power plant. And of course that will wrap up our research as well too, because I did take the time and took some of the computers to finish off the Caterium. So the last ones were programmable splitters. We have those now, as well as the geothermal generators. That's done. So Caterium is completely done. Next, sulfur. This is going to be done through our nuclear power that we just unlocked now. So once we can get those plutonium fuel rods, we'll be able to get this last milestone done. And then the only thing that will actually be left remaining is the Fixmas holiday. But like I mentioned earlier, that's the exact same Fixmas event as what it was in Update 5, so last year at this time, of which I did post a link to it in my previous video. I'll do the same thing on this one here. For the holiday event, you can click on the link that is just right around here in the video. And you can go through all of these different achievements. I'm not going to do them right now. I'm not going to focus on them right now. If I have time over the Christmas break, maybe I will, quickly slam through that just so that it's out of my research tree. But now that that's been done, what to work on next? Let's look at our milestones. We only have 2 left: leading edge production and particle enrichment. Now this is going to take some stuff to be able to do this. We've got our fused modular frames we've got to make, which that is looking like we're going to be getting into some nitrogen for that to be able to make the fused frames. And what do we got here? This is for particle enrichment. We're going to need the electromagnetic control rods. We're also going to need cooling systems. And, of course, more fused modular frames for that. And also turbo motors. So all 4 of these items we're not crafting right now. So we have a lot of production that we've got to do. So we're going to wrap these 2 up in the next episode. And then after that, we will be focusing on, of course, Phase 4 of the space elevator, which is going to be the assembly director units, the magnetic field generators, the thermal propulsion rockets, and nuclear pasta. Feeding those into here, and then, of course, all of that stuff dumping into Awesome Sinks, because once this is done, of course, our final goal will be to get all of these trophies over here in the Awesome Shop. We have 123 FICSIT coupons right now. Do I have a... Where is my closest? I think my closest Awesome Sink is just right down here. Let's print these off. That's another 39 we're adding to the pile. So we fly back up here. What's our total at now? 162. So that's going to be under the Fixmas special. That's getting all... We're going to get the tapes, we're going to get the Ghetto Blaster, and we're going to get all of these trophies all taken care of right here. So that's going to be a lot to be able to get that taken care of. All right, folks. Reach down, hit that like button on this video. If you could, please. I would appreciate it. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think of Update 7 so far. Minor changes with Update 7. It wasn't overly significant. I mean, other than, of course, the big blueprint designer, of which it has helped significantly with some of my builds. Let's actually hop down here right now. Blueprint designer. Let's load a blueprint. Let's go to factories. So, for instance, our rod factory. Modular, you just slap it together, and that was how we made our rods. We did the same thing for screws as well too. So having this as a tool for us now to be able to expand factories, I mean, that's how I did most of the Mark V upgrade. Is all of these were constructors after constructors after constructors. That blueprint came in super handy for that. So that was a great addition to Satisfactory. All right, guys, subscribe if you are new to the channel. That would be greatly appreciated. About 95% of the people that are watching my channel are not subscribed. Those subscriptions do help. And you can also follow me on Instagram and Twitter. I do post on both of those at TerrisDWDC. And yeah, with that said, you guys have a good one, and we'll see you in the next episode.